Hi, everybody, and welcome to this edition of The Lounge. Here we are, getting ready for your weekend. How's everybody doing today? I hope that your energy's high. I hope you're ready for an amazing show. Of course, The Lounge, you don't ever know what we're going to happen. You don't ever know what's going to happen. You know, The Lounge is the show that books itself. So sometimes we say we're going to talk about something. Sometimes we say a guest is going to come on. And then it kind of changes because the universe, as we know, is in charge. And I kind of go with it. So today I am just so happy to be with you guys. And I want you guys to put in the comments who's here. I'd love to say hello to everybody, all of our regulars. How you guys doing? Put in the comments, say hi, say that you're here watching The Lounge. Tell us what your favorite snacks are. Tell us what you're eating, what you're drinking. Let us know how you're doing and let us know how the energy is affecting you right now and what's kind of going on. Are you pumped up about your weekend? You know, we always try to get away from this whole transformational topic. We try to go into intuition. We try to go into love. We try to go into all this stuff. But the reality is no matter if somebody comes to me for a mediumship session, no matter if somebody comes to me for an intuitive session, a business session, a real estate session, it all comes back to love. It all comes back to relationships, love, and people always have a love question and they want to know how they can elevate their experience. So whether you're single, you're in a relationship, you're married, and you want to like elevate that experience, or whether you really want a spiritual kind of love, that's all part of this whole transformational process. So I want to talk about who we're going to have on the show tonight. And he actually is from the same hometown as me. And I love talking to people who are from the same area because we all kind of come from the same weird water. You know what I mean? We're just weird folk, but we understand each other. Like it's just the way it is. And we're the only people that, we're in the spring season and Easter and all that kind of stuff. And we're the only area that I've ever heard of that has this pizza called Pagash pizza, which is pierogi potato pizza. That's like goes crazy during the Lent season. For people in the area. I haven't ever tried it until this year. And oh my God, it's like cheese, potatoes, sometimes instant mashed potatoes and butter on pizza. And it's like all over this area, but I haven't seen it anywhere else. So if you have an opportunity, Google Pagash pizza on Instagram and take a look at it. It's kind of interesting and it's really, really good. So off of that tangent. So I want to talk about Dave Gold, who's coming on today. He's a transformational mentor, and he kind of has a crazy story. But let me just talk about his background a little bit. He brings the full power and wisdom of his 45 years as a businessman, a trial lawyer. So yeah, we're talking about a spiritual guy who has a spiritual experience and story, who is also a businessman and trial attorney, which is kind of like that very logical kind of mind, executive consultant and spiritual mentor. It kind of reminds me of the shaman that I've known for a while, who was a lawyer and a shaman. And it was kind of a very interesting personality. And he just wants to liberate world-changing executives and entrepreneurs from the shackle of self-doubt and self-disqualification. He wants you to find success to feed your soul. But the thing about it is, in talking to Dave, prior to the show today, like right before the show, I'm like, hey, what's going on? And he's like, yeah, I might want to talk about my love life. I have this amazing story and my partner is a channel. She's an intuitive and, she's had some mediumship experiences and we have this amazing love story of how we got together. And it was very spiritual. I'm like, my audience would love that. So I'm like, maybe we should ditch the executive consulting and go with the love story. I don't mind. I know you guys don't mind. And if you guys have any like legal situations that maybe you're thinking, hey, I'd rather hear about trial attorneys than a love life, fine. Put it in the comments. Dave can answer about his life as a lawyer, but I'm thinking you might want to hear about mediumship and love, right? Who wouldn't? So without further ado, I want to bring on our special guests, not only Dave Gold, but Julie Reeves. Welcome to the show, guys.
Wow, they say you should never follow a child act or an animal act. You're a tough act to follow, Marisa. Really, honest to God.
What do you mean?
I mean, it
What do
was
you mean?
just, well, first of all, I just got to say, I just love the way we pivoted because we had all these ideas. And I think that, we like to say we want to talk from spirituality and from presence and from love and not about it. The fact that you just pivoted so fast with what was present here, that's really impressive. And I just want all of your lounge lizards or whatever you call them to know how lucky they are to be part of your life and part of your world.
Oh my God.
Lives.
I'm lucky to have them because we have such an amazing community of people and they are loyal to the lounge. They're here every week. And we have, there are some shows that they have like the negativity and people posting negative stuff. And our community is just so loving and open and accepting of whatever we bring on. And it's such a positive community that I'm sure you guys will love all the people that are on tonight.
Well, they'll love us too, because we have a story. And I told Marisa when we came on, we've been an item for almost 8 years, and we have never told this story publicly before. So
you know what? It's so weird because the lounge, I don't know what it is about this show, but it's like we're always like the first reveal. Like either if like there's a musician on, they're like, yeah, we're just about to release our CD for the first time. Let's do it as a CD release party. Okay. Oh yeah, I'm revealing this for the first time. I don't know what it is about the show, but it's always like people's first reveals. It's kind of a pattern of like
exciting.
Yeah, that is exciting. So you haven't told the story in public, which I am honored that you feel like I'm the person you want to tell it to, and our audience is who you want to tell it to.
Yeah.
So let me
give us the opportunity.
Yeah, exactly. Let me tease you guys a little bit because we don't want to get to all the good stuff right away and then people jump off the stream. We want to keep them. We'll save
the reveal.
Yeah.
Well, they're going to stay. They'll want to stay.
They'll want to stay.
Yeah.
So I want to hear first about the two of you and your individual lives before you met. And then I want to hear about, Dave, how your transformation went from, trial attorney to spiritual mentor. And then I want to hear about how you guys met. So Dave, tell us a little bit about your background. And did you have your own spiritual transformation, which kind of led from, doing the 9 to 5, being in the materialistic world, and you said, hey, this isn't working for me? Or were you just always spiritual?
Well, I've always lived this dual life, and it's been my destiny to not be able to just live in one world or the other. So I met the man who became my first spiritual teacher when I was in my first year of law school. I had no interest in spirituality. I just wanted to make a lot of money, have a lot of lives, and be really famous and have experiences and stuff. And then life kicked the pins out from me. My father died, which we'll talk more about, in 1971 when I was 19 years old. I had a couple of other traumatic events happen. And from that, I realized, wow, I wasn't in charge. I wasn't going to be able to build the life I had from ego alone. I didn't know what ego was, but that's, kind of how I interpreted it at that point. And I met a man who became my spiritual teacher. He was I call him a hillbilly Zen master. He was, he wasn't a true hillbilly. He was from West Virginia. Very, very plain spoken, very rugged, and I ended up moving in with him. I spent 20 years with him at the same time that I was practicing law. I actually moved down to West Virginia to be with him and to practice law. So I had this crazy dual life where I'm a kick-ass trial attorney, and I'm the lawyer. If you want to sue the cops, sue the judges, sue whatever you want to do, we're the guys that you hired. And then at the same time, I'm going home every night to this teacher. I'm a celibate. I'm a vegetarian. I'm spending a month at a time in a cabin. My vacation every year for my law practice was going out into a meditation cabin, no running water, no electricity, 30 days by myself.
So your people that were in this world with you as a trial attorney, did they know you had this other life?
Well, my partners were also involved in, one more so than the other, but they knew this, this was the price of doing business with Dave Gold in terms of my partners. But for the most part, I had to keep it quiet. And it's interesting too, because you carry that sense I'm carrying a secret that I can't reveal. And that's not healthy. You start, right. You create a shadow around your spirituality. So I did that I had 20 years of that, ended up, I don't want to take up too much of the airspace, but I had an experience that convinced me revealed it was time to leave the practice. I left, ended up in North Carolina where I live now, ended up starting a software company, which we sold. Same time mentoring college students. That's what I spiritually mentored college students with my business partner. And continued that life for a while, and then I figured, well, God, I'm almost 50. I haven't gotten enlightened yet. I might as well get married. We got to get married, adopted our daughter, continued in business, and then in 2013, everything fell apart. My marriage fell apart. Second spiritual teacher I worked with turned out to have feet of clay, and I also lost $1 million, literally in my own money, at company. So
Oh my goodness.
I was humbled in the best possible way, and ended up having an immersion. I was actually on a retreat, and I think all that surrender, finally, I let go. I was more interested in the truth than I was terrified of losing my ego. And I don't claim to have some, enormous experience, but I had enough of an immersion in consciousness to have my questions answered. And then I was no longer a seeker either. I couldn't pretend to be a seeker. I didn't know what the hell I was going to do. And then that leads us up to the beautiful moment when this amazing human being, who is my soul twin, my best friend, my advisor, my mate, my everything, parachuted into my life.
All right. Well, of course, there's some parts of that story where I'm more interested in delving into a little bit more, because I'm just curious. So are you still a trial attorney or not?
I'm still licensed. It's interesting. I have licenses in Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Florida. I keep my license active in West Virginia, but I don't practice. I mean, I practice. I'm the guy friends can call if they have a problem, and it kind of works into my business that I can provide. I have a legal perspective, but no,
Yeah.
I'm not practicing law. And one of the reasons I realized I gave a trial, I was just tired of fighting. I mean, I was just living in conflict all the time, and that suits me in a well. I'm a terrier, but it's so much. Right now, I have such an aversion to conflict that I realized I was lucky to get out, 30 years ago.
Yeah. You said you left the practice and something happened. Do you want to share that? What happened?
I'm happy to. I was at kind of the peak of everything. I mean, I was running 8 miles a day to work, and I get to work and I look and I see my eyeballs don't match up. I got one up here, I got one down there. I go, what the hell is that? And by that evening, I was in the hospital, and by the next morning, I was diagnosed as having a tumor, which was probably going to kill me in 6 months. And in that, all that spirituality, I try to kind of mimic or create the conditions where you actually see your mortality. Nothing compares to getting that news. And in that moment, I realized the only regret, I had 2 regrets, but the only one for the purpose of this was that I hadn't written a book about my teacher. I felt he was going to die in obscurity. So when they took the tumor out, it turned out it was a blood tumor that was just mimic the malignant tumor, because I stood on my head an hour a day. It was part of my celibacy routine.
What?
I found the more that I get the blood.
What?
Yeah. Like I said,
Are you serious?
50 minutes. 30 minutes.
Are you serious that this is what happened?
Why would I lie to you?
No, I'm just so like, oh my God, you had to like have this medical like news and go through all that, and it's because you were doing something for your spiritual practice.
It's so beautiful, because this is something
God.
for your lounge lizards here. I'm going to just keep calling that because it has a nice ring to it. But because life is just so magical, and the things that seem, oh my God, how could that happen? It was what a gift. And I realized that not only what was important in life, but how blessed I was and how I wasn't alone. And even with all the spirituality, there's a tendency to think it's me against the universe. It's me trying to fight my way to enlightenment. But yeah, that actually happened. And
another thing I want to just add to that, Dave couldn't have had this perspective at the time, but he and we have it now. And it's important for people to know this at this time in, human evolution, that he thought he had to do all of these disciplines every day, and that was the way, that was the path to enlightenment. But what really we understand now, and what this story tells, is that you don't have to do any of that. We don't have to do that. And so really standing on his head didn't get him enlightened, but it did give him a tumor in his head.
And I have to tell you, it's also given me some interesting orthopedic issues. You put that many hours on, you crunch that many vertebrae. But yeah, so anyway, just to finish the thought, and what Julie says is, and it's interesting because when our love was revealed, I stopped my disciplines. I realized they were just like panacea. They were just placebos. They were just something to keep me busy, to think that I was moving spiritually when actually whatever was evolving was just evolving on its own. But in terms of the narrative, is that when it was taken out, it turned out it was benign, and I said about writing the book, like, oh my God, I got this message, and I just couldn't get it done in the situation I was in, and so finally I just said, to hell with it. I sold my practice. I mean, I got a nice chunk of change out of it, and the practice, 47 years later from when I started, is still active and making money for the people who stayed behind. But
is that here in this area? Is that in
West Virginia, in the Wheeling, West Virginia area? Actually,
oh, see, I'm in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I went to law school in Pittsburgh. I went to Duquesne. I went to Penn State undergrad. So you and I have all these secret handshakes for all the secret Pennsylvania handshakes. So anyway, I hope
yeah, you definitely answered my question, and I do have another question. Is being a trial attorney, having those two separate lives, did you find you were obviously in the light and seeking the light, but did you find that the environment around all the conflict and the trials and everything that went on, did you find that there was darkness around that? Did you find that there were dark spirits? Did you find that other people who were trial attorneys, did you find that it was like, what was it really like on an energetic level to do this work?
This is like throwing, chum in the waters for sharks. I mean, I could talk about this forever. Well, I mean, part of it, yes, I was in an evil area. And first of all, interestingly enough, it's called Moundsville. There's an Indian burial mound there, a sacred mound, and it's called the Curse of the Mound Builders. That actually, because they disrupted this mound, there was a curse on the area. You got a maximum security penitentiary there. All that horrible energy from all these, I don't want to call them horrible people because, they run the gamut. But certainly there's an energetic force there. There's the mound.
Horrible things have been done.
Yeah, and
by many of these people.
And Julie, who's been to that area, can tell you what the feeling is in that area. The town was incredibly corrupt, and it's interesting. We talk more. There's a documentary coming out that I will be featured in, just about something that I'm about to talk about here. And so there was corruption. I was the outsider. I got a spiritual teacher that says you got to stand up to everybody. So I'm a danger. I was a danger. I had a client come in, one of the few first clients I had. I said, "What the hell are you doing in my office?" She said, "I used to be a waitress down where the lawyers had lunch, and they had called a meeting and said, we got to run Dave Gold out of town. And I made up my mind that if you were still here when I needed a lawyer, I'd come see you." So it was quite the ordeal. And then also we happened to have the largest Hare Krishna community in the world in this county, which was finally taken down by the Racketeering Act, by RICO. And they were drug runners, and there were murders going on, and child molestation, all this stuff going on. And I was the only lawyer. Our firm was the only lawyer to take them on. And I encountered evil.
Give some context about what decade this was.
This is in the 70s.
We don't want to malign the Hare Krishnas.
No, this was
a time. Yeah.
This was in the 70s, 80s, and finally the 90s when I left was when they were finally tried. The Swami was finally tried and sent away. But what I noticed is it wasn't just that these people, that they were doing bad things. I felt, and I could talk about you in a way that I can't, that I can't talk, that others wouldn't understand. I was up against a malevolent force it was in real time. In other words, I was outsmart, no matter what we did, we were like almost outsmarted by this particular energy. And it's one of the reasons that my teacher insisted upon celibacy, and me as a kind of a high-strung, high-energy Jewish guy, it doesn't come natural to me to be celibate. But the idea was it was protection. And my teacher said, this is what you need to do to protect yourself from that, is to be celibate. And, I just throw that in again in something that I don't generally reveal. But I have seen evil.
Yeah.
It's not a pleasant experience.
And I would think that while you were, like, all the trial attorneys or all the people that were involved in this that were kind of on that dark path, like, the evil doesn't bother with them. But the fact that you were seeking spirituality and in this world, you were probably energetically attacked a little bit more than most people, because you were part of that force in that dark energy that was gravitating toward the light. So you're one that they probably didn't want there.
Yeah, and you said it beautifully. I think Rose said it's like the cherry on top of a sundae when you're that kind of when you're the force for good and spirituality and that,
Mm-hmm.
it was a lot of that, and that influenced me in a lot of ways in terms of thinking I needed to suffer and that I was a martyr and I was a hero. And it's, again, one of the things that I was freed from with Julie is that I didn't need to suffer. I didn't need to be a martyr. I didn't have to be a tragic story, that I could walk and live in the light of love.
Yeah. And now let's fast forward a little bit. You got divorced. You had all that, another big emotional bottom that you hit. You had your first one, your second one. Now here you are. And tell me a little bit about, now that you had been divorced, what you were now looking for in a partner. And did you put that out to the universe, or were you like, I'm just done and I'm not going to do this love thing anymore. I'm done.
Well,
No, he's a love bug junkie, as the banner.
Oh, okay. Yes. There. Yeah.
So I'm done.
So one of the beautiful things, I'll go back and we were just listening to another podcast that we did, and it was, a woman mentioned that we told her that when we were both, we're 15 years apart in age, so whatever it was, but both of us when we were really young both dreamt of a love unimaginable. We just knew that was our destiny, and
I just got chills.
We didn't dream. It was more like a knowing. We knew.
We knew
as
that.
Really young children. We knew.
And part of the reason I think as I deconstructed, I got in spirituality, is I wanted to be free of that hunger for love. I just figured I'll transcend it. I'll get enlightened. I won't ache. I won't have this ache in my soul that something's missing. And spirituality, there were times when you are complete in yourself, when I didn't have that ache, and I wanted permanently to be free of that ache. And then when after the divorce, I was just ready for love. I was ready for action, and I was ready for love. Okay. And so I was ready for all of that. And part of the joke was I was 4 years without a date. Now, I know I'm not that much to look at, but hell, anybody, I had a few.
There's someone for everyone.
Exactly. Every pot has a lid. As funny as my cousin from Wilkes-Barre once said. But I couldn't, nothing. And I started to, as we all do, I started to personalize it. And, in retrospect, I can see
it wasn't for lack of trying.
Oh, damn. No. I get, I'm out there. Kind of out there. I wasn't online dating or anything, but, I was looking. Every person was a potential, that's at the one. Or is that A1? At that point, I was ready for A1. That's not even that, the one. And then in retrospect, it's, we joked that Julie threw the cloak of invisibility over me, so no one could see me for 4 years. So that the first experience I would have and the first person I would connect to would be the capital T, capital O, the one.
So we don't know if there's any truth to that, but that's the story
I'm blaming her.
He always says, don't let the truth get in the way of a good story. So that's the story.
So let's get into the magic. What happened?
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm gonna let her get some airtime.
Okay.
But Marisa, you are such a great interviewer.
You are.
I just love talking to you.
Thank you. I hope that you guys, I like to make people comfortable, like we're just like kind of in a living room chat and just fun, just having fun.
And with David, there's any number of avenues you can go down, right? Because he's got such a captivating life story that if there's always like, oh, tell me more about that. Tell me more about this. We've been together 7.5 years now, and we still say there's no way I've heard all of his stories yet.
I'm sure he has a lot of stories. I could tell he has a story. Like you could say, oh, I ate a meatball yesterday. Let me tell you a story about the meatball,
Exactly.
I'm sure.
Right. Yeah. So he's a great person to be around if you love stories, which most people do.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about you, Julie, and about your life and leading up to before you met Dave, like about your intuition. I know you're a channel. I'll put that up there now. And that you have intuitive abilities, you have mediumship, you have these things. Mm-hmm. What was your life like before you guys met?
Well, and I'm going to try to make mine a little shorter, but no dig at you.
No,
but
none taken.
I was, as is Dave, as are many of your listeners, a very sensitive child and person, very, very sensitive, very intuitive. As a child, I did notice the thing that recurred in my life in terms of, you know, sensing energies and presences that you couldn't see or perceive with the human senses, the five senses, was for whatever reason, you know, it's a mystery. I tended to be able to know when something was going to die.
Mm.
So, like, you know, we had animals, and I would know,
Yeah.
you know, I would say goodbye to them because I have a feeling like tomorrow, next time I see you, you be out of your body. Um, and I could definitely sense, you know, I had a beloved grandfather who was so, so important to me in my life. He died when I was 20, and I had an amazing, amazing experience. Like, you know, out of body, traveled, you know, we don't have the words for where, you know, I mean, I could put words that people use, but I don't know what's true. And it's a mystery. And I'm happy letting it be a mystery, but traveled to some other dimension where I came face to face with him, and he told me that he was okay. And I will also say part of what was so spectacular and life changing about this experience was that I had a preparation phase of months where I was being prepared in my sleep every night. Now I know I was in a training program. At the time I didn't know what was happening. It was just so much fun. I would go to sleep, and I would, like, you know, astral travel. I I I like got better and better at this astral traveling, and it was like, you know, and it was so fun. Like every night I go to sleep and I just have this weightless, you know, out of my body experience. It's like flying. It was so much fun, and months of this, and I got better and better at it, and I'd fly, you know, more weightlessly and higher and more free and liberated from, you know, just the humanness, the experience of the earthliness. And then the culmination of that was that I came face to face with my beloved grandfather, and he said to me, he said, "Julie, I'm okay." And for some reason, I mean, the words are so simple, but it was so enormous. I can't
Mhm.
portray in words the enormity of this.
Mhm. So
And
powerful. Yeah.
yeah, and you know, I heard someone say once that all we really want to know, we human beings, we that are left in bodies, all we really want to know is that our beloveds are okay.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Yeah.
that's what I found, is that that just changed everything. And but that was the beginning of I, my overt spiritual path. You know, I had lived a life loving the divine. As a child, I loved the divine. I just wanted to be closer and closer to the divine. I did not grow up in a religious family. Um, but that was the beginning kind of my overt path, and my, you know, reading books and like, wait, I want to know more about this. You know, what can I be doing? Because I just longed to unite with the divine.
Mm.
I had this incredible experience of, I mean, how can you doubt after that? You know, life is so much more than we can imagine, you know, upon the earth. So I did a lot, you know, to me, one of the, one of the, one of the recurring motifs in my life is that I've, I have kind of refused, not necessarily consciously, but to put myself in a box. Um, I don't like I don't like having a title. Like, I don't want to be defined by I am this one thing. And I
Mhm.
don't mean this, like, I didn't just decide in my head one day I don't want to do this. It's that none of them felt like they fit. So it's more like I resisted. Um, so when, you know, you graduate from high school, you go to college, maybe you know, I did. In college, you're supposed to pick a major, you know, you're supposed to decide
Yeah. Yeah.
do something, you want to be something. I was like, wait, but no, like but I had always had these like healing abilities. When I was a child growing up, my mother was a nurse. She didn't work after I was born. I was the oldest. But I would, as a young person, I would say, like, because my sister was sick a lot, and I would say, like, oh, well, she's got this, you know, look at this. This is what's wrong with her. And then, through the medical route, they would find out that what I had said was wrong is what was wrong. And my mother would she didn't like that. I had the sense of she was resentful of me that I knew things.
So you were a medical intuitive way back then.
I mean, at this time, I was like 3 years old. So
right. And it had to come from somewhere. So usually it runs in family lines. So I'm sure someone had it in your family.
Maybe my mother had it,
Yeah.
Maybe she had it and just didn't have that awareness, because she loved working when she was a nurse, when she was a practicing RN. She loved working with kids, that was her thing. But yeah, so from an early age, I just thought, oh, I want to be a doctor. And I had all kinds of ideas. The first thing I wanted to be was an orthopedic surgeon. But when I was a freshman in college, and I'm sitting in my chemistry 101 lecture, with 200 people in the auditorium, and it's second semester freshman year, and I suddenly heard in my head, just as clear as can be, Julie, you don't want to be a doctor, you want to be a healer.
Wow.
So rather than go that pre-med route, I just decided, okay, I'm just gonna, get my degree, and just get it in something that I'm interested in. So I proceeded to, go out and try to, live my life after college and figure out what do I want to spend my days doing where I'm going to make money and I'm going to be able to take care of myself, but it's still going to be in alignment with who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did a lot of different things. I mean, my primary job where I got paid was I worked in hospice.
Wow.
And
wow.
So
I'm sure you've had many experiences there of the other side.
Yes. I got to be very fortunate that I worked the last position that I was working in, the last situation was in a spiritual hospice. That I felt so blessed when they found me. I was so blessed to have this situation, because finally we could speak overtly about all of these things that were cloaked before. The woman who founded and ran this home she worked with a medium, and they would do readings on every single person who came into the home to see like what their soul needed. They would work, and when I say who came into the home, I mean residents, who were in hospice care.
Right. Mm-hmm.
This was an assisted living home, but they also did hospice. So
yeah,
if for the residents that came in, she would have readings done. For all the employees, there would be readings done. Wow. This was very overt.
Yeah.
About this stuff.
I don't think I've ever heard of anything like that.
Yeah, it was an amazing time in my life. And so, yeah, I mean, like there was one day we had a resident who I won't say a name, but she was in her death process. She was leaving her body, and I had been up with her, and then I came down to be with the other residents and help them with lunch. And we're sitting at the table, and this is a small home. I don't remember how many residents we had, 10, maybe 12, more like 10. So we're sitting around the table, and I feel this woman who's transitioning, I feel her, her soul come down the stairs and out the front door. So I just say very casually, oh, there goes Sylvia. Down the stairs and out the door. Oh, I'm sorry, I just said her name. No one will know. And they're like, oh, okay. Because they're just so used to this. They're just used to it. And then, a few minutes later, somebody came down and said, Sylvia has passed. And I was given the message by Sylvia as she was coming down the stairs and out the door to let her son know this. He had been up with her beloved son who adored his mother. And so when he finally came down the stairs and he went out the front door to have some privacy, and I waited till the time felt right, and I went out and I said, your mother gave me a message as she was leaving, and she said to tell you that, that I felt her come down the stairs and out the door, and I felt her leave her body, and that she's fine. And what a difference that made.
Oh yeah. When you can get that kind of confirmation like right away, usually people.
Yeah.
Yeah. My God. Well, I could listen to you for hours, but Facebook's going to cut us off at the hour mark, and we're already at the 40-minute mark. So I want to get to your love story too. And Julie, is there anything else you want to tell us about your life before we go to your love life?
No, I think that we've set the stage for Dave's and Maria coming together perfectly. Yeah.
Awesome. So you were doing that, and then I don't even know how you guys want to start this story, but just however you guys met or however it starts, however the magic happened, we want to know. So go for it.
Yeah, she says I gotta tell you this. I'm no way in hell I could do this in 20 minutes. So this is like torture for me. It's the happiest torture I've ever had, but it's torturous. So briefly, I was the welcoming ambassador for my daughter's seventh grade class at a local Waldorf school here. Had a bunch of people to call. Julie was one of the names on the spreadsheet. She was moving into the area. I didn't know who she was. Had a conversation. I'm going to really brief this one, like she said.
Yeah.
Goes to hell. And when I spoke on the phone, we had this, and I'm sure you have this all the time, and your lounge listeners have this. You end up actually in a deep conversation immediately, and you go, "What the hell's going on here? Why am I telling this person this? Oh my God, they're never backing off." And especially I say with people of the opposite sex, where there might be some romantic thing. You cut it off. You say, oh, that's it. Let's talk about the weather. Never happened. When I got off, I thought, whoa, who is this person? And because I was still, 4 years without it, 3.5 years without a date at this point, I went and looked her up on Facebook. I thought, oh, she's cute, and we ended up meeting, and she can tell you, maybe you can talk.
Detail.
Okay, less detail. So we ended up, you want to talk about your experience of that? Or you want me to fast forward?
No, I'll tell one thing because, your listeners are going to like this. Steve and I talked for probably, we think, an hour and a half. Never about us moving to the area, it was all about stuff that we both thought, why are we telling this person this? But we hung up the phone, and I can picture exactly where I was, and I just hung up the phone. I was just staring ahead for a moment, and I heard very clearly in my head, Julie Gold. And I thought, because I had studied dreams a lot, I thought, I wonder what kind of gold Dave is going to bring into my life.
Oh, and you didn't know his last name at this point was Gold?
No, I did. I knew his last name was Gold.
Okay.
So that's why I thought it is because he's Dave Gold. So, because I've studied dream work, I thought of the symbology of it, not like literal, we're going to be married. Like that would have never occurred to me. I was recently separated from my husband, like only 2.5 months earlier. Like that was not on my mind in the least.
Right.
And so I just thought, I wonder what kind of gold Dave's going to bring into my life. And so that's like clue number one, but I had no idea. It was nowhere in my conscious awareness whatsoever.
So fast forward, we met. How long after that? She came to the area for a school visit. We met. I was excited. Zero chemistry. And this is another point I want to bring out. Everyone thinks love at first sight, blah, 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 blah.
The lust, yeah.
Nothing. Okay. And so that's fine. We both had spiritual friends of the opposite sex before, and we were just going to be platonic friends, and we were. And I was able, we developed a relationship. My legal talents came in handy because she had a lot of stuff going on, and we became friends. And then I
have to say something here because I always talk about that with our audience. Is I tell them, especially if you had a tough childhood or if stuff happened where you had some dysfunction. I'm not saying you guys did, but a lot of times people will run after the spark, the fireworks, and it turns out to ashes. And I say, if you have fireworks, run. It's a slow burning flame that you want to go for.
Exactly.
It's the slow. So anyway, go ahead, Dave.
We had a slow burning flame that exploded into a conflict of a wild forest that burned half of California. But anyway, that's a different story.
It didn't burn out.
No, it never burned out. But it definitely. But anyway, so probably the next big thing is we happened to be out for dinner as friends. And I was talking about my father, who I'd been doing some dream work around my dad. At this point, he'd been dead, 40 plus years, had a lot of issues, just broke my heart. And my heart was still broken. And I described.
And he had a lot of anger and resentment at that time.
Yeah, a lot of stuff. And you should probably tell it from there if you would.
So we're sitting in a booth in this restaurant across from each other. And he's telling me about this dream work he's doing and the mandala work and how rigid his dad was and how kind of controlling he was. And I said, because, I didn't know what he knew and what he didn't know. And I just said, are you aware that your dad is over your right shoulder? Like, because I could see him. I could feel him. He was like over here, he's over David's right shoulder. And he's like, no, what are you talking about? And I said, yeah, your dad's just right there with you. He's just there above your right shoulder.
Yeah.
And I knew it was true. I felt a tremendous weight lift off my shoulders. I didn't know what to make of it. And
I said to him, and he doesn't feel at all like you're describing him.
Yeah. So
it's just a loving presence.
So I remember she said, this doesn't happen to me often, but it happens.
Yeah, I told him, I said, this is something that's happened to me periodically throughout my life. It doesn't happen a lot, but I can sometimes see and feel people who are no longer in their bodies. I told him the story of the down the stairs and out the front door. So, that was about the end of that.
That was the end of that. And then it was a few weeks later, I think it was. And I was actually in my apartment. We lived in separate cities, about 30 miles apart. And I was about to get into a business relation. I was about to formalize a business relationship. And I'm actually sitting by the pool. And I'm typing up, here's the proposal. Here's what this guy and I are going to do together. And suddenly I get a phone call.
You get a text.
I get a text. Well, go ahead. You should probably tell it from there because you're on the end.
So, my family has, in the process of all of this, moved from one city to another, across the state. So I'm new to this town that we're living in. I'm in a coffee shop while my kids are in school during the day. I'm trying to do a little bit of work. And my eye starts twitching. And I know, because this has happened before, that when my eye starts twitching, it's like saying, Julie, pay attention. So so it starts twitching and it starts getting more and more intense until it's like really twitching. And so finally I sort of like sit back from my laptop and I go, okay, I'm listening. What? And boom, David's father comes in just in a rush. And he says, tell my son that very little of life is personal. So I text, your father is here with me. He, twitched my eye. And he says to tell you very little of life is personal. So we're going back and forth via text for a little, but the channel is wide open. Like, this has never happened to me before like this. Like, the information is, and I'm trying to text and he's texting. And finally I say, I can't do this by text anymore. I pick up the phone and I call him. I go outside of the coffee shop and start like pacing up and down the sidewalk, talking to David for like an hour and a half. The energy is so powerful, such a high vibration that my heart is pounding. My breath is like, my body is just trying to catch up to this, And it's just, just thing after message after message after message. And they're all messages from David's beloved father to him about his life and about life, life, the big life with the capital L, why the world works the way it is, what this is really all about. And we communicated with him from that point on anytime David wanted for 3 years?
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Wow, that's a long time to stay connected there to a spirit. Real long. I don't think
all David ever had to do, and David, some of the common things is he always had to initiate it. He just had to ask. And that was a direction he was given to, is you just have to ask, but you do have to ask. So his father would not give him information after that first time unless he asked. And I don't mean it like it was rigid. It was just, it was very gentle and loving.
Yeah.
Just that David had to open the door by asking.
And I want to make a point here. We'll never get to all of this. We're probably going to have to, hit the pause button at some point, hit the play, because it evolves into the love story, which is really where the use is. I mean,
So I guess, because we only have about 7 more minutes. So I just want to get to that part. So you were giving him all these messages. I'm sure it was really, really powerful for Dave. And I'm sure it created a lot of healing, let go of a lot of that anger and resentment that he had, and opened his heart. And when did you guys realize that you had something more than physical? Or when did you guys feel that energy between you? When would to be like, whoa, wait, I thought there was nothing here.
At this point, it's all we're still just friends, and we think about ourselves as spiritual friends. And I've become like the connection between he and his father. And that is it. Really,
Yeah.
We have no sense or even suspicion there was anything else. And we were very happy with the way it was.
So I'll pick up the story. I'm in the second spiritual group that I mentioned I was in that fell apart. I'm a board member. We're unwinding this mess that this guru had made. And I'm in Denver, Colorado, which is where we happen to be for this board meeting. And that happens to be the area where Julie was doing the hospice work. Mm-hmm. So this is a deep, generally we say it has energetic connections, but you and the lizards know what it is we're talking about with the energetic
lizards.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I have deep roots there and just a deep, deep heart connection. Yeah, to that area.
So I'm on the phone with her before one of the meetings started, because we're talking about our father. We call him our father. And something's happening. I'm happy. There's something emergent in what's happening, even beyond this incredible connection that we have. And I can feel this happening, and I could feel it's happening. I won't even say it's reciprocal. It's happening as one experience both of us. And real happiness, just real joy, just exuberance, joy for no good reason. And I have to get off the phone. And as I say, and now I'm in this board meeting, and instead of I'm pretending to look at spreadsheets, but I'm emailing her. And every second I'm out on the phone with her, I'm texting, and it's getting strong. This feeling of exuberance and happiness and love is getting stronger and stronger.
There was a quickening.
Yes.
There was a quickening.
And
we could feel the energy. There was a quickening. Yeah.
And I didn't interpret it as romantic, because we'd set that, the rules were set. And I wasn't going to screw up, I wasn't going to make a pass at the Oracle and ever slap their ass. I ran the numbers, and I realized that the risk wasn't
right. You don't want to get involved. Yeah.
Exactly. But it's happening. Something's happening. You can talk about it from your end.
Something's happening. Something. On day one, we could just feel the energy. We didn't have any idea what was happening on day one, but we could feel that all day long, we just wanted to talk to each other. We were texting, we were emailing, we were calling, and we could feel like there's something present here that didn't used to be present, wasn't present.
Right.
So day 2, this continues, but it's starting to up. The energy is getting much more powerful.
I would say it's like, we should talk about the Twitch. It's like that. There's more energy coming in than you could process. Yeah. It's just boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
And so we're having this, and meanwhile, this is my day to travel back. And I'll leave out, there's a great point in here in the middle, which was when I got into the airplane, that connection was broken, and now my
No,
okay, no,
you can't go there yet.
okay, I can't go
I'm
there.
sorry. Well, there's an important point. So the same kind of thing is happening all day long on day 2. We're still calling, we're texting, but we start to realize, like at one point I said to him on day 2, I said, David, what's happening? Because I wondered if he knew. I didn't know. I was sort of beginning to get an idea, but I didn't know. But by just a few hours later, we both realized that that we were becoming a we without us even knowing.
Right.
We say that the door to our love was open and we walked through it. And so that was like this energy that was surrounding us. And it was a very palpable threshold that we willingly crossed. And when we crossed that threshold, on the other side of it was our love, fully formed, eternal, ever present, and it was revealed to us, and we just stepped into it. We didn't fall in love. We just stepped into it. We said yes to it, and we stepped into it.
And to fast forward, we didn't know if there'd be any chemistry because there wasn't before. So that's why our anniversary is 3 days, because the third day is the day we kissed, and then the scales fell from our eyes and the cloak of invisibility was torn off. and one thing I want to, and then at this point, my dad changed, whatever you want to call him. And now she was the gift. She was his gift to me.
Yeah.
And that could be revealed. And then he could shepherd our love, not just my transformation out of fear and scarcity and all this stuff and breaking the lineage and becoming a man of love. But he said that when we're with each other, we should view each other as if we're standing in front of the Great Pyramids, and made it clear that our love was inviolable. There's nothing we could do to screw it up, but it was precarious at the same time. We could screw it up in this lifetime. And that all we needed to do was look deeply into each other's eyes. So we're having this cosmic presence, this beautiful presence now as the shepherd of our love, as the guidance of our love. And as I say, it's too good to be true. He said she's the deepest dream I didn't even know I was dreaming. And I want everyone who's listening to know that dream is there for you. That dream is there. What am I? I'm a schmuck. What do I know? What do I do to deserve this? I have as many reasons as everybody who's listening to this to discount them, say, either that's a bunch of crap or that's a beautiful story, but that's a 1 in a billion. It is 1 in a billion, but their story's 1 in a billion. And what we really want, I think I can speak, is for people just to stop discounting the love and the elegance and the beauty and the unimaginability that life wants to bring to us, that we disqualify ourselves by thinking, no, it can't be us.
Well, and
yeah,
I want to add, because for a while, I mean, we would love nothing more than to be able to help people find a love like this in their lives, but we can't
you can't stage it. You can't make it happen.
That's not their destiny. We can't make that happen. No
matter.
Right.
Right.
But really, as incredible as our love story is, every single person upon this planet has an incredible something that life is trying to bring them, if only they will open to it and say yes, walk across that threshold and say yes.
Before they know the guarantee, before they know the end point, they have to take the risk and have the faith to step through the door. A lot of people won't step through the door unless they know what the end point is. Right. And that's why people don't take those risks and grow. I would love to have you guys on another time and talk, but I have to wrap this show up. And I mean, I'm just so I don't know about the audience. You guys could comment in the chat and be like, please, I want to hear. I'm just so into both of your lives and both of your stories. And if anything, I think it gives people hope, because you guys both came from a divorce. So you obviously have had not such good experiences, thinking that you probably might not have a good one again. And there you go. But I just want to put your website up here, Dave. If you guys are interested in learning a little bit more about Dave Gold, Julie does not have a website yet, but you can get to Julie from Dave.
Yeah.
So Dave,
with me,
DaveGold.com. And if maybe you're struggling with, some insecurities, things that you're dealing with, you're not living your life to the fullest, and it doesn't have to be love. It could be manifesting, whatever. Dave's going to be offering for our guests. So mention the lounge, mention the lounge lizards, or whatever you are. Call, and Dave is going to be offering a free alignment call if somebody wants to become more aligned with the higher vibration and energy. And I'm sure people are going to be asking about you, Julie, too, because I think a lot of our listeners are going to say, hey, Dave, we like you and all, but we kind of want a reading with Julie here. So this might start a whole other ball. And maybe you're going to have to walk through a threshold here. Maybe this is a door opening for you.
Yes.
So, yeah.
If I could just say, they can just email me at dave@davegold.com. And if they want to talk with Julie, they want to talk with us, whatever. We're out of the closet now, so we don't know what the hell's going to happen. So everybody's part of this great experiment. Everybody listening is part of the experiment. And thank you for being part of it.
Yeah, I mean, our we call them Lounggeeeee, but now they're lounge lizards too, I guess. But yeah, so they do call people, they do email people, they will reach out. We had many guests on here, and if I have them on and I like them, they trust me, so they're going to reach out. So I just so enjoyed this conversation. I didn't know where it was going to go because we had to change last minute what we were doing, but it went exactly the way it was supposed to do. I'm all about pivoting. I love pivoting. I love like taking a plan and going with the flow. You know, it's just what I do.
Yeah.
So just one more time, just want to put out davegold.com, check them out. And also before we head out, I want you guys to, I didn't get to talk about this in the beginning, but every 15th of the month, I send out a monthly video forecast because I believe manifesting is also about timing. And so I go over every day of the month for your love life, your relationships, career, health, but it's only available to our email subscribers. So it is a video, a private video on a private server, because I do the daily and weekly live, but you cannot find this live. You have to get onto our email list. So to get onto our email list, just go to the link in video and put in your email to become on our email list. I also send out some motivational Monday stuff and get on our email list. And you guys will get that at the 15th of the month. And I go over every day of the month in that forecast. All right. Well, thank you guys for coming. And we will see you guys on the lounge next week. And I'm sure we'll be having Dave and Julianne again. So thanks, guys. Have a great night, everybody.
Thanks, Marissa.